Dear guests, let us welcome you to today's international discussions. This is a continuation of the international conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, that was held on December 4th on the platform of Creative Society. In this conference, truthful scientists, experts in fields of climatology, of economy, ecology, expressed touching information about the crisis the society is facing today. Volunteers who organized the conference in their free time with own resources, together with the guests, with the speakers, came to the conclusion that in order to solve all of these issues, it is essential to unite the potential of all of the people who are indifferent and come up with solutions that would help us mitigate the graduating cataclysms, as well as solve the issues of the ecology and economy.
The next significant event and strategical important step for all of humanity will take place on the 7th of May, 2022. The Forum Global Crisis. We are people, we want to live. It will be translated into 100 languages. We, the people of 180 countries, will go even deeper into the facts and the truth that is hidden from us. Because we understand that silence and inaction is no longer an option. For when we remain silent, we are supporting the horror of the consumerism format of society. So don't be indifferent. Tell everyone about this forum. Together, in a large-scale unification, we can not only survive, but we can thrive as civilization, and it's possible only if we build a creative society. Modern collaboratism. Who is playing on the side of the common enemy of humanity? The real cause of global climate changes. Who and why is hiding the truth from the people? Climatic disaster through the eyes of eyewitnesses. Refugees. Why does it affect everyone? Escalating social violence, slavery, and human trafficking. And most importantly, solution will be discussed at the forum. So if you want to be an information partner and a vital forum, please write to info@creativesociety.com.
Thank you. And today with us, we've got our dear guests, Albena Stoyanova, Healthcare Support Assistant at NHS UK. Welcome, Albena.
Welcome. Thank you.
And Dr. Muhannad Abdulkader, a general surgeon, Deputy General Director for Relations and Partnership at the Independent Doctors Association in IDA, Turkey. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
Great to have you both. So, and today we are going to talk about, unfortunately, a heartbreaking topic, which was raised at the conference, refugees and their destiny in a consumer format of society. But first, as you both, our guests, watched the conference on December 4th, we would like to ask you, why do you think it's important to bring up the diverse information presented at the conference to people, and how important it is to continue the efforts on those different topics by preparing for the next forum that will be held on the 7th of May, in order to really provide people with the truth. Why is it so important to do this and to spend the time on it? Maybe, Albena, can you start answering this first question?
Well, for me, this was a very important event to watch the conference on the 4th of December. I understood many things which I didn't know before the conference. There are new subjects and issues I found out about. And it is a really amazing thing which was done on the 4th of December, because many people was involved, many people saw what is going on in the world on a large base. To me, it was significant to find out details about the climate changes. I didn't know that it is something which is happening because of cyclicity, because of universal, it on a universal base. I thought it was a result of our own doing, and that's why we had all these ecological problems. So to me, this conference is an eye-opening event, and I'm so thankful and grateful to you guys for organizing it. And now, feeling part of it, I'll be very happy to help and do my best to be part of the next conference on the 7th of May.
Thank you very much, Albena. And also, Muhannad, can you also share with us, please, why do you think that it's vital to raise these sort of topics in today's society?
Yeah, what struck me most about the last conference is that previously almost all other conferences usually were mainly hosted and discussed among specific countries. And so bringing together very vast majority of cultures to participate in these kind of conferences on a very large scale, it was very informative. And as my colleague said, I heard a lot of things that I wasn't aware of before during this conference, and it is very important that most of the countries were participating in this conference, so they can at least pass this information among their countries and their peers and their people also. So yes, back to you.
Great, thank you for your answer. And you're very right. The conference was held by so many people from so many different countries, and it really illustrates also, and what we're going to discuss a little bit later, the creative society and the purpose of this unification. It's not a problem just for one country, for one nation. It's a problem that we need to solve, all of us, all together. And I think this conference was indeed a very well illustration about this unity already of so many different countries on those topics, which is nothing but the truth. So thank you very much for your answer. And actually, let's dive into a more specific of these topics that we heard about during the conference, about refugees. Participants of the Creative Society gathered the information and presented a documentary about this topic of refugee for the first time during the previous conference. So the full documentary, you can watch it on the channel, and today we're just going to watch a small part of it, but illustrating the full content.
Why is there such inhuman treatment of people? I was thinking about it and decided to figure it out.
You will never spend a month without being attacked with a xenophobic attack, because they say as a foreigners we are stealing their work. I've lost that hope of being in the great society. I don't know, I've lost that hope, because seeing the way that people are being killed, seeing the way that people are being shot in my eyes.
A child can be sold many times. I remember one day I came across the story of a girl who was, she was Turkish. She had been sold 17 times, and she had been trafficked from one country to another 17 times, and she had experienced only rape.
I also sat in many auctions as a customer, as an undercover when I was doing the undercover. There where we were sitting for the auctions, 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, as per the demands. So the trade called the first time sex. Whenever the auctions will happen, new girls arrive in the trade. So they put the auctions. So who will bid the last demand, the money? That person only will use that became full night for his choice.
The business that is made of spare parts, the human spare parts. How many children have been transferred from one place to another and then being operated on for some rich guys in different parts of the world to get a kidney or get something else from their bodies against their will.
Black market, traffickers, mafia is part of this economy that is ruling the world. So what else I can say? That I only see that another possibility is to spend money instead of constructing walls like we are doing in Europe.
In our society, human life has no value. How is it possible that instead of help, people encounter violence, aggression, abuse, and slavery? This is not a migration crisis, but this is a crisis of humaneness.
People, by looking at the existing legal frame, will not ever be entitled asking for protection. Because you will ask them which country you're coming from, they would say there's no country. I had a country called X, but the country now is underwater. Or I had a village and this village is being totally destroyed or disappearing.
It turns out that there are still no effective programs for the resettlement of refugees. For so many years, the United Nations has been working. For so many years, the Refugee Rights Commission has been working. So many humanitarian organizations and NGOs around the world have been working, but there are no working, established or adopted programs on how to work with these refugees. There are none. And the Refugee Commission itself admits this.
Now refugees are forced to leave their homes. They face condemnation and cruelty. They are left alone with their misfortune because of the consumerist format of society. Tomorrow's climate catastrophes could be upon us as well. Answer yourself honestly. Are you ready to face what refugees face? Are you sure you won't be in their shoes? That you and your loved ones won't have to go through what they're going through.
Yes, what we've just seen is a bitter truth that is a consequence of the consumer format of society in which money is above human life. And this bitter truth is unfortunately not really presented in the media today, and a lot of people are either not aware of it or are shutting their eyes over it, not realizing that as a result of the climate events, any one of us can become a refugee at any moment. So the next question I would like to ask Albena is, why do you think that these horrible things happened? Why do we as people in this modern society allow this to exist?
Well, I wish I can answer this question. Yes, as you said, our society at the moment, as a consumer society, the value of the money stays well above the value of people's lives. And anything which serves the money and the power is allowed. So I personally think that it is a big shame for us as a humanity in the 21st century not to value humans' life as the most valuable thing we've got here on the planet. And I definitely don't think that the way it is done at the moment is the right way. So I don't know why it is happening, maybe because we didn't do much enough to change it. Maybe that's the time to start giving our voice and expressing our will, all this to be changed. Because at the end of the day, we are here to learn being good people and to learn being and living together and being kind to each other and develop this kindness in every each of us, maybe.
Thank you for your answer. And I think you are spot on mentioning the fact that indeed in our current society, unfortunately, why is those horrible things happen is simply because money prevails above a human being, which means that people will do anything to get money and to abuse other people. And what is the easiest way to abuse the weaker one, the refugees? So following your answers, Albena, I wanted to turn to Muhannad and ask him a little bit similar question, but also regarding people. So we talked about the fact that they kind of let these things happen, but how well informed do you think people are about the refugee situation and its consequences? Do you think that there is maybe something here to think of and to discuss?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me express my shock. It is very horrifying to hear this report that you presented. I saw it, but again, it's very horrifying to hear also such stories about human trafficking, especially with children. Actually, not just children, everybody else. It doesn't matter if children or adults, because human trafficking is human trafficking, period. As Albena said, in consumer society, nothing is more valuable than materials, money, which is really annoying because what makes money, what makes material is the human being. So if we could consider human being as assets that we should preserve, we will generate more money, of course, because money doesn't generate itself. Materials that don't generate itself. Human being generates them. So we have to preserve them. Are the people aware of this? I think it depends on the society that the refugees come from. So if we consider ourselves, everybody on this planet are equal, are the same, we share the same blood, which is red, nobody is bleeding blue, maybe we can understand that refugee crisis everywhere is the same. It's not about race, it's not about color, it's not about the origin, the ethnicity, the religion, the origin of birth. No, it's about a human being. That's it.
Yes, you are.
And I am a refugee myself, by the way.
You are absolutely right, and you speak like someone who has who's had a personal experience about this. About all of these horrible things that are happening to the people. And with as we've heard in the conference, with the peaking cataclysms, we probably will face a lot more refugees all around the world migrating. For which we unfortunately are not prepared today, And we can see also, as you've pointed out very correctly, the topic of refugees and also climate crisis does not know any border, If a disaster happens, it does not ask for permission to enter a country, It does not ask for permission to destroy anyone's house, regardless of the social status. And due to the fact that we live in a consumer format of society where we are being imposed that the resources are limited, where, as already mentioned, money is over human life, we are facing, this issue. And in creative society, this couldn't happen, because in creative society, we are able to unite scientific potential. We are able to come up, we are able to free up time of the scientists to come up with technologies based on which we can, for example, warn people in advance of any, let's say, cataclysmic event, so that they could be evacuated right on time before the cataclysm happens. And this would save actually human lives, So, but maybe you could also share with us your experiences. You said that you are also a refugee.
Which part of my experience as a refugee you want me to share? Because there is a lot of things that there is a whole background story, a lot of stories actually. I am double refugee. I traveled from Turkey to Germany, and then I traveled back, and now I am refugee in Germany. So I was refugee in Germany. Now I am refugee in Turkey. So I was refugee in Germany, and now I am a refugee in Turkey. And both have stories behind this.
So maybe the impact of the current consumer format of society on your life, on your staying there.
Yeah, definitely. It has a very great impact. When I was, for example, when I was in Germany as a refugee, I noticed that being a refugee, having this allowance, unemployed allowance, it makes people look at you totally differently. They will not interact with you on the human being level as much as. Okay, a lot of them actually, they were looking at you, at us. Okay, you are having the allowance from our taxes, etc., etc. Well, little they knew that we didn't want that. We want to be a productive member of the society, start working as fast as we can, so we can participate in their society. The same here in Turkey, actually. It is exactly the same in this point of view, in this angle. They are looking at the Syrian refugee in Turkey that, okay, they are consuming the resources of the Turkish government. On the contrary, they don't. They are participating in the Turkish economy. Just a little few, they are having aid from the Turkish authority, which from the report of the Turkish authorities, less than 100,000 people are getting assistance from Turkish Red Crescent, for example. The rest of the refugees are working, producing money, contributing to the Turkish society. On psychological level, yeah, it's affecting every refugee in somehow. A lot of them, they don't know how to cope. You hear about fights, about some kind of a struggle between two societies. The reasons behind this is the psychosocial effect, psychosocial impact about being refugee. It's not something else.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for your answer and for your experience firsthand on being a refugee. And I think you mentioned the fact that it's very difficult for a refugee to integrate into those new places that they are going. I mean, most of them, or a vast majority of them, or many of them, actually don't decide on going anywhere else. They wish they could actually stay where they were, in their homeland, as you were mentioning, where they could work, they could build a family, but they are forced, either because of war, because of climate disasters, they have to move somewhere else. And where they are going, it's almost sometimes even worse than the place they are living. And this is indeed, once again, the illustration of the consumer format of society, which is in total opposition of the creative society, where we are here for today, to talk about this implementation and what the implementation of the creative society will help. Because this society, a creative society is simply a society where you will not be afraid to become a refugee and meet those horrible things that we currently see and we saw in this documentary. To tell a bit more about the creative society, it's all about 8 Foundation. It's been 10 years that the Creative Society project and people in this project have been interviewing millions of people and asking them a simple question: in which society would you like to live in to be happy? And out of those millions of interviews, we came up with those 8 foundations that are very simple and build really the foundation of what should be a society. And yes, by implementing 8 foundations in a country, in all countries all over the world, we can do it. I mean, these foundations are formed by those people and so for more than 180 countries. This is not foundation created by one country that other people will not understand. It's a human answer. It's not a country, it's not a race, it's not a region who created those foundations. It's a human, it's humanness who create those foundations. So it shows what people, regardless of their nationality, social status, religion, and so on, can come up with. It took more than 10 years so then to come to this amazing poll and all over the world and gather this one single truth of what people really want. And unity will bring us there. But before implementing it all over the world, people need to know about it. Millions of people already know, but we are billions on this planet. And we as people need to make a request from the society to implement these foundations of creative society only in a peaceful and evolutionary way. And it can happen when all people could know about the creative society. And first of all, we all need to understand that creative society is beneficial for all of us. So in order to understand even more this concept of creative society, let's watch a short video about what is the best investment as of today.
viewers, please.
Well, creative society to me is something which all we would like to have in our lives. I mean, every each of us, when we speak from the bottom of our hearts, here where the love is, every each of us, when we speak about the ideal place to live, we talk about something which is very, very similar to the creative society, as it is explained in the 8 foundations. So when we speak about it, we can see people's love, people's help to each other. Creative society is a way of society where people live together and they look after not themselves, but all together at the same time. The care is on a different level, extremely higher level than what we've got at the moment. At the moment, although it says in the paperwork that the approach to everybody should be individual, in the best way possible, and all these things we read in the books, the reality is completely different. I can see age discrimination. I can see very judgmental people in the system, which I think for the 21st century is not the right way to look at the others. I've heard many times somebody says, well, I don't feel well because, and that's going wrong, and that's going wrong. And the answer is, well, that's because of your age. It's age related. So it is like a keyword for, I'm not gonna look into it because you're at a certain age, or it's just an example. Information level, we know from the mass media how much we help these people. Do we really in practice? Also, again, I've come across many times to the system cannot take the pressure of the time we live in. I mean, the system is struggling to meet all the needs of every person. So very often, some people who are even not qualified take a decision, I'll put more attention into this person and I'll put less attention into this person. It's not equal, definitely not. So to avoid all this, I can only see it in a society which is like a creative society, when everybody is equal, when we fight for everybody's life in the same way, and everybody gets the same attention from every service. Because I've seen also how one service is possible for some patients, and if they want to have better service, they need to pay for it. So we go for the value of money again, which means that if somebody is rich, they can afford having better service, and if they're not, they're just left on the basic service. And again, isn't it a kind of a discrimination as well? But what I wanted to say while I was watching the film, I just felt as if, because you mentioned in the video that the idea of the creative society was created by people. And I was thinking, if we look at the children, even when we were talking about the refugees, if this was happening into a children's society, they would have welcomed every new person with such enthusiasm, with such being ready to help, with everything we've lost because of the this consumer way of thinking. And I also wanted to say that because we live in a consumer society and day by day we just start accepting it, and sometimes at some point the things which are basically not normal, we see them normal, which is a little bit frightening, because we just get to a point we lose our empathy to people at some, if I can call it like that. So I just want to look at the children and always imagine how would a child 3 years old would, or 5 years old would react on these things. And this being a help for everyone without even knowing who they are, I think it's extremely important to develop again, to redevelop in our minds. So that's why I totally support the 8 foundation of the Creative Society. I was a teacher before, and I can talk about the foundation, which is about the equality in education. It is the same. In our consumer society, children whose parents got more money, they can afford better education, and children who does not have this, they just go to ordinary schools, and the ordinary schools are not always the best ones. They give you a basic, but we lose all these things which a child can develop if they are in a place where they can learn better and have better teachers. So yeah, there are so many things which the Creative Society can benefit every single life. Just to be honest, I just can't wait to live there.
Thank you very much for your answer, and I really like the way that you put in perspective that it seems that people lost something. They lost this empathy, this humanness, because at the end we talk about creative society, but it's not something that's going to come to us by itself. It's something that we need to build, and in order to build it, we need to also maybe change ourselves from this consumer society that we are so used to, and get outside of our comfort zone to actually get into an even better comfort zone, which is creative society. So I really like this idea of changing ourselves first and going back and indeed looking at children and the way they interact with each other. We can learn a lot from them. So thank you very much for this answer. I would like to ask also another question to Muhannad, because indeed, creating this creative society seems to be a really no-brainer. Everybody wants it, and especially as soon as you understand it. But how can we spread to the world about the creative society? Because that's the first stage of the creative society. The first stage of the creation of this creative society is to spread the words to every single person on earth, for them to know that this is the answer to all of our crisis. So how can we spread this word in the shortest possible way, because we understand that we also don't necessarily have much time, to all of the people? What each of the person roles in this? Can you tell us more about this, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Albena. You elaborated a lot of on a lot of very, very important and wonderful points, actually. Which a lot of them personally touched me. Back to your question, I think if creative society wants to widen its wings, it should hit the big media very hard. What I mean by that, in somehow creative society should dominate big media, so they can spread this message to all the world. Because let's face it, we all are living in a consumer society. Almost everybody is depending on a big media to get their information from. And the big media is manipulating the information that we are getting according to political agendas or other kind of agendas, whatever. But yeah, they do. Up till now, they are telling that, okay, for the clean energy, we want to do or conduct or build this project, which in reverse, we will get more harm than benefit from this project. I was talking with my colleagues from Creative Society before about that. I heard this report on the media about this big project in Morocco that will depend on the solar system to generate electricity and provide all Europe about electricity. And one of our friends told me that's not the truth, and provided me with another media production about the truth about this project, which will pollute the planet. So this is one of the most important things. This roundtable, this discussion is part of this media spreading the truth, but it should go to the next level, reaching the big agencies that can really influence people, or maybe in parallel, build a new media agency that can really reach out to a lot of people and tell them the truth, because this is the slogan of this conference, telling the truth. And this is the truth. This is really the truth.
Thank you, Muhannad. It's very inspiring. And indeed, actually, there are already today tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of volunteers all around the world utilizing all of these new technologies in order to spread the message about creative society, either by conducting interviews like this, or doing streams, or writing articles, posting information about the conferences and stuff like that. So this is already happening, and the more people will join us, and we can see that you've already took your active part just by joining this international discussion. The sooner we will be living in a creative society. And so I would like to thank you very much for your honest words, for all of the experience that you have shared. Before we end our international discussion, I would just like to ask whether there is anything that you would like to share as some last word with our viewers today.
Albena.
Okay, I would like to share something. It is my experience from, I think I was 10 years of age. And it was, well, when I was in the primary school in Bulgaria, we used to have a kind of a tradition. When you finish primary school, you have like books we write with some questionnaire, and you give it to your friends and they answer the questions. It was called lexicon. Maybe different people in different worlds got these questionnaires in some other places, but this is what I grew up with. And at that time, a friend of mine wrote something which I never forgotten. It was a thought from a kind of, let's say, very famous person, but I don't remember the name. And the thought was, impossible is only what you cannot imagine. It's just, I couldn't understand it when I was 10 years of age. And I it stayed in my mind all my life. And I was trying to know how come the only impossible thing is the thing which I cannot imagine. When I came across some books and in a later life, I understood that there are no boundaries and there is no such thing like impossible. It is all us who make it impossible because we put the boundaries onto it. So what I wanted to share that knowledge that everything is possible. It is only important we believe in it and we know it is possible to happen. So something like it is too good to be true, that's not true really. And yes, everything is possible. And I would like to be part of the creative society because that's the best chance for the whole humanity, I believe. So people just believe in everything we can do. We can do everything we can imagine. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Muhannad?
Yeah, actually, Albena, you are really sentimental and you touch us our hearts. What I want to say is if the idea of the creative society really applies, people will start to care for each other more and more. You know, this will create an army of volunteers in all sectors, and coming from health background as Albena, we will see a lot of people who will be volunteering in the health sector, helping the elderly, helping the patients. It's all about solidarity. What Albena said, it's all about solidarity. If we stand in solidarity with each other as human beings, I think we can achieve a lot of goals. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your last words, both of you. Indeed, very inspiring and really coming from the bottom of your hearts, that's for sure. So yes, dear viewers, right now is the right time to stop being silent, like both of our guests today have been. Take this responsibility and become a true hero who stands with creative society and all of humanity. Share this information with everyone you know. And share vital information about the upcoming forum, Global Crisis. We are people and we want to live. Also, if you want to be an international partner, you can write to info@creativesociety.com. Now you can take easy but so much important actions by spreading this information in all of the social media, all platforms you know. This information saves people's lives. Let's make this forum streamed everywhere. Thank you all. Thank you to our guest. Thank you to host. And see you into the next international discussions.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much.